look at that ALF at 11, we have nothing. These are great prints right here. Oh, nope, there we go. Okay, so we have prints at 11, right? Okay, what is the increments that it's trading in? Technically, it's already pulled back. Trading in 50-cent increments, right? Okay, what is its print personality? Yeah, basically about 2 to 3, right in that area. Okay, what is its range? Does range mean anything in this stock? Yep. Unfortunately, the range, it's not, there's nothing that we can really go off of. Okay, so we're going to be going off the prints. There's not enough, exactly. There's not enough history that goes into it. All right, so we have prints at 11. What number trade? And we need the chart for what number trade because we got to see how it's working. Exactly. Why are we looking for a 4 and not a number 1? Yeah, it's got really high volume. Really high volume. Is this a hot stock today? Is there a lot of interest in it? Well, hard to buy, Oscar. Yes, you technically can't short it. Okay, but if let's say we could short it, we're still going to be looking for a number 1 because of how hot the actual stock itself is. Okay, we want to get that big move. We're not going to be looking for that 25, 50 cent pullback that comes into it. Okay, and we know how much it needs to pull back. We know 50 cents. So now let's get rid of our chart. All right, so now we need to look at our time and sales right here, and I'm going to stretch it out just so we can kind of see a little bit better. Okay, and we have to start looking at what is the noise and what's actually happening. So we have prints that are hit twice at 11. What does that tell us? Don't need the chart for this. We already have all the answers we need from a chart. Okay, what does that tell us that it hit twice at 11? Above print personality, our print personality is 2 to 3, and it hit twice at 11. Twice over print personality, build. Yeah, we're going to be looking to build below. So if we were to have to draw the chart's going to come down first, all right? Okay, we also have to take into account that this is a very hot stock. Okay, so what would the time period be? What's the time period for it to build? Quick, big time. Okay, because we know for a fact that there's a huge amount of volume that's coming in. I don't even have the chart up. How do I know that volume is still pumping right now? How do I know that volume is still pumping? Look at the speed. Look at this time and sales right now. So I know just by the speed of time and sales that when this thing shows controlling prints, it's going to build very, very quickly. That doesn't mean it doesn't need to pull back a certain increment. Okay, but it's telling us that it's a very quick moving stock. Okay, so I have to come back. It's at 1150. So our 11 is starting to make money. Now I need to see what is noise and what is the money flow. All right, so when I look at this, okay, and we come back up above 11, okay, is this important right here? Is that important? Absolutely not. It's good. It definitely helps, going within the stock, but it's not really important because what did they tell us at 11? How much money did they need to make? $0.50, right? Technically, 50 cents is the increments, but when it hit twice, does it need to be more than 50 cents? I don't want to hide this too, so we're not looking at it. So technically it should be more, but we can't, we can't go wrong by being conservative and actually having the 50 cents. So now we go up into time and sales, okay? Now we're looking, okay, is this screen right here, everything that's on here, is anything here important? No, right? Nothing stands out. You have a little bit of buying that's came in. It's okay, but is there anything that 11 told us that this changes? And that's really what I'm trying to get at. Is there anything here that changes what we saw at 11? The pullback came in, we get a trigger up, stock starts to move. We know it's got to come to 1150. It really needs to come more than 1150, but that's going to be conservative. No, nothing changes here. So this entire, all these bigger prints that we see coming into the stock, actually, they don't mean anything, right? Now let's continue up. Okay, what about now? Anything here change anything? Is there anything here that stands out or that shows something? So what's print personality? What was the print personality? 2 to 3, right? So is this important? 33, 34, and 38 all hit at the same time. Is that important to us? It absolutely is. Because this is a burst that comes in. What does this tell us? What are those prints? What do we call those prints? That's very important. Urgency, those are off-level prints, right? What does that tell us about time frame? Okay, so if we're in this stock right now and we know it needs to hit 1150 and we see these prints come in, it's at print personality and it's off level. So we know they're not building, right? Okay, the off level prints are right here. Right here. Yeah, it's not building, it's getting into a trade because what's going to happen? What does that person think is going to happen to this stock at 1133, 1134, and 1138? That's how their execution came out. Because remember, a stock that has a spread like this and a stock that's moving, we're going to see bigger amounts that come in. But what is this person telling us? It's going up, but they want to get in the trade right this second. And if they're telling us they want to get in the trade right this second, what does that tell us for managing where the stock is going to go? If I have to draw the chart, is it going to go up, down, or sideways? It's going to go up. Very simple. Okay, now we come over here. Anything here stand out? Anything showing us that the stock is going to do anything different from 11? Because we're looking for things that are going to help our case, okay, to get to 1150. Okay, or show something, if it shows something that tells us that it's different, it's going to be different right now. We don't see anything, right? So essentially, we have all these prints, but it's just noise, isn't it? In no way whatsoever does it help us. Okay, now we come up to right here. Okay, and I want to get everything in. Okay, now what do we see here? What does this tell us? So yes, there's ballsy prints within it. What's the money flow that we see? It's buying, right? So does this tell us that 1150 is our proper price target? No, it's higher, isn't it? And did 11 tell us it was higher? Based off the amount of times that it hit in a stock that pretty much is almost was parabolic. I'm not looking at the chart, so I'm not sure, but it matches. Do you see how important this coming into it is? So if we get a quick bar down, are we worried about that? If the chart shows a little bit of a bar down, are we worried in any way whatsoever? How much does the stock need to move? What are our increments again? 50 cents. Okay, so what's our price target now? 12. So it matches. We were conservative with what we saw at 11, but really it should move more than 50 cents. So what's happening now that we see this, it's telling us that we have the ability now to hit that 12. What are you doing the first time it pushes to 11.99, doesn't print at 12? How much exposure are you going to take off? Derek, we'll get to that afterwards. I don't, that's, you're talking about trading. Right now we're going to manage what the chart looks like. Okay, right? This is telling us how to see the actual chart. Now, what about right here? We see 1150. What is, and I'm going to answer your question with these prints, actually, to be honest. But what do we see right here at 1150? Okay, so profit taking to a certain extent, but that's not telling me my story. Remember, is this above 2 to 3 as our print personality? It is. Okay, now what happens when bid prints come in? What does the chart look like? Up or down? Up. Okay, up then down. Yes, exactly. So we know that we have the buying for 12, and now we see this 1150 come in. So it's going to push it up. So are these long-term or short-term prints? They're short-term. So is this person going to get to 12 off these 1150 prints? Very likely, right? There's no such thing as 100%, but it's extremely likely that that's going to happen. Now, what does that tell me, though, about my time frame of the trade? Very quick, because as Keith said, it's up then down. So getting close to 12, what do I have to do with my position? Regardless of what it shows at 12 right now, because we're managing what's noise and what's not noise. So not drop some, because at 1150, technically, how far does this have to go down? Okay, we're reading it as a story and understanding the chart. It's got to go down 50 cents. So as it comes up to 12, how much of my position should be taken off? And this is exactly what Derek just asked. How much of my position now? I know this. I don't even know what the chart looks like right this second. Okay, we're going to pull the chart up afterwards, and we'll go from there. But we're just managing what we're seeing. So 75%. We see half. Okay, Eric said 90%. Why is Eric in the right? Why is it 90% of my trade needs to be taken off there when it comes up to 12? Didn't hit 12? Are you looking, Steve? We're not looking at charts. Don't look at your chart. Take this off your screen. This is just time and sales. I don't want you looking at what happened. I have no idea what's happening right now. This stock could be, well, I mean, I know the price. I'm looking at it, 1150. It's got to go down back at least 50 cents. So that's a dollar move. Okay, it's a dollar move to the downside. Is anyone here willing to take a dollar move to the downside? Absolutely not. And statistically speaking, with how hot this stock is, are we going to be able to get a new entry to get back into it? Absolutely. And we only make money when we realize profit. So when I see this, I know these people need to make 50 cents. I know this person just came in to sell above print personality. Okay, so 12 is our price target. So what it's telling us is that once it gets to 12, it's going to give us a hard bar down. Right, but if it did hit 12, so yeah, exactly. So Steve said right, but it did. If it did hit 12, that can change the plan. Time and sales shows didn't hit 12. Does it? Oh, okay. Well, if you, yeah. So overall, but see, I want you to understand something. We're drawing a chart just based off the market maker prints. Okay, we're literally drawing a chart. So this, if I'm in this trade, these are great. Okay, is this enough buying to get us over 12? So why is my answer no? There you go. Yeah, there you go, Steve. 50 cents. Is there anything bigger than print personality here? Even though there's a lot of it, they're broken up. So overall, the overall story, technically, is that enough buying to get us over 12? Yeah, that's great. But are we looking at overall stories or are we looking to trade here? We're looking to trade. So when this comes in after this great buying, this tells me that the stock is going to go to 12, but I'm going to get a hard bar to the downside, to 11. right? Because we're in 50-cent increments. So that hard bar down to the 11 is I'm not willing to take that. So I'm going to take 90% of my order and I'm ready to get out at 12. Remember, we're not going to be greedy here. We're not looking at a chart. When a chart goes up, guys, and you're in a trade and the chart starts going up, what does your mind tell you want to happen? It's human nature. There's nothing you could do about it besides understand you can't look at it that way. You want it to keep rolling, you keep going. You want it to keep going up. All right. And what happens when stocks go up too much? What do? If a stock that hits levels and doesn't actually pull back on the level, yeah, you get bored. Okay. So now we have our story. And when we pull up the chart, guys, I'm literally not, I have no idea what this chart, well, I mean, I could see the price right now, but I have no idea what the chart, but I want you to understand this right here tells us 90% of our trades coming off. Now let's continue up. Does this help us at all? Nope. It's noise. It's nothing we can do. And it's in purple. If it was red, it would start confirming the fact that it's going to 12 and then it's coming back down. Okay, but it's purple, so we just ignore it. Okay, what does this tell me? Or does it tell me anything? What do we see here? Is this important right here? It is. How much does that person need to make? That's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. They need to make 50 cents. Okay, out of 50 cents, how much does the person actually need to make? Not 40, 30. Remember, for every dollar, 60 cents. Okay, so we know when you try to get into the stock over 11.50, okay, is this an execution that would be someone looking to make 50 cents for how fast the stock is actually moving? Absolutely. Because if I'm trying to get in over 11.50, guess what? It's moving big. You look at the spread right now. It's definitely slowing down, as you can see. Okay, but you look at the spread that's going on in here. At certain points, it was 10 cents, 12 cents, 15 cents. It's a bigger thing. So this person still just needs to to get up to that 12 level. Does this tell us it needs to go higher than 12? Questions we have to ask. Okay, as we just spoke about, okay, 50-cent increments. If that's where they got executed, is that enough prints to tell us it needs to go higher than 12 right now for their trade? Or do they only need to make 30 cents? Around 12. Perfect answer, Amy. It's got to go around 12 still. This is not showing us that the stock needs to go higher than 12. Okay, it's basically almost at print personality. Okay, at print personality to make 50 cents, we just discussed this execution was them trying to get in over 11.50. You see the story there? You got to think, is this a lot of shares for this stock? Is that a huge position for this stock? It's about print personality. It's a market maker position, okay, but it's basically telling us that it needs to go up to 12. Okay, this is not, it's not way above print personality. Okay, now does this tell us overall the stock is probably going to go up above 12 for the overall? That's where my head would be. So it's close. The amount of buying that we saw down underneath that 11.50 and the amount that we're seeing above it, eventually it should go above 12. But does that help our trading needs? Does that help me within my actual trade? Needs more. Well, remember, timing has already been set now. We followed the person at 11 that told us the stock needs to go basically about 12. We got the buying that was underneath 1150 that basically told us that the stock needs to go to 12. Okay, we got the bid prints at the 1150 that told us that the stock's going to push up to 12 quickly, but we're going to have to get out most of our trade because it's going to end up barring down and coming back down to 11, right? So does this change anything that we already know? That's really where I'm going with this. Does it change anything that we already know? No. It's just great. It confirms what the story that we already have. Okay, then we come down. Anything important here? Nothing that changes what we already know. See, 1158, absolutely phenomenal. Okay, it's at print personality. It's basically telling us that it's confirming what we know. Okay, it's confirming what the chart's going to look like in our head. These 1150 prints, are they important? One here, one there. Why are they not important? Does it change anything we already know? I can't wait to look at the chart. All right, let's continue. I'm going to go a little bit quicker. So anything here that's important? So absolutely. Is this print personality bids? Are these important? Remember, anything at print personality is something that needs to be known. Why? Okay. In our minds, the trade up to 12 is going to be quick, right? So isn't this important to know? Isn't this confirming the fact that the stock needs to go down to 11 if somebody's taking off their position, part of their position at this point? Because you got to remember something, because the orders are so thin, if you have a huge position in this, okay, are you going to be able to get out quickly with how thin the orders are and the way that it's moving? So if I know the stock's going to 12 and I have 100,000 shares, don't I need to get out at lower points to exactly scale out to make sure I'm going to be able to get out of my whole position at the top? We absolutely need to, right? So these are very important. It's confirming that the move to 12 is going to be quick because we're starting to see people at print personality getting out of it. All right, let's continue on our way up. Anything here important? Not much here. Is anything at print personality? Is there anyone here that you would follow into a trade? That's the way that the question you need to ask yourself. Is there anyone here that you would follow into a trade? Absolutely not. So if you wouldn't follow into a trade, is it important? No. Now, what if all these prints were red, even though they're separate? Would that be important? Hell yes. Okay, but it's just a rainbow. It's a mixed amount. You know, someone's got in a little bit here, someone got out a little bit there. It's, you know, there's nothing there there's nothing here that changes what we know needs to happen, because we already have a game plan, right? Based off of the big buying, the big selling. We don't change our game plan unless someone tells us to. And there's just nothing here that would show us that we need to change. Okay, what about here? What would it mean if it were all red? How would it change? It means a bunch of people are starting to get out. So if a bunch of people are starting to get out, that's telling us that so the move down is coming, basically. Because if you look, all these things, all these prints are off level. Okay, there's nothing that's really there. So if we start to see a bunch of people getting out, then we have to start to take it into account, because we know, based off of what we've read already, the actual big prints above print personality has already set in our game plan. So now everything else is either confirming our game plan or it's changing our game plan. If it changes our game plan, then you know what? We have to act accordingly. But if it doesn't change our game plan, We just let it go. Okay, we're not looking. We have no chart here. I mean, I know what the stock's doing because of the price, but we have no chart here. We're not hoping that it goes to 12 because we're not looking at the chart. The prints told us it's going to 12, didn't they? The prints themselves told us it's going to 12. So guess where the stock is going? Going to 12. Nothing has shown a change in that. There's also nothing that's shown us that the stock is going above 12 for a trade. Those 1150 prints were huge. They stood out big time because what we know is that bid prints need to go up first and then they come back down. So those bid prints told us that it's still going to 12, but the stock's coming back down underneath it. So if we weren't in a trade in this stock, would it be smart to take a trigger at 1175? Would that be? No, you'd be crazy because you're literally going to get barred. There's nothing here that's shown us it needs to go above 12 for the trade. Okay, isn't it weird looking at this and not having a chart there? How many people think it's weird? I kind of like it. Okay, well, that way, but most of you, this is where you're looking, and we got to get away from that. This is what makes the chart. These prints that we're going over are telling us what the chart is. Okay, so let's go back up. Anything important here? Noise or important? $11.73. Okay, what is that telling us? I would just take those 11.73 as profit taking. Absolutely. Why do you take profit? When you get out of a stock, why do you get out of a stock? Or why should you? Some people get out just because they're up and not as experienced. But why does a market maker get out of a stock? So realized gains, absolutely, but they're not expecting it to go up much more. That's exactly what it is. If I don't think the stock's going up anymore at that point, what do I do? What am I going to do? Add. Oh, I gotta get out. All right, we got to get out of our position. So does this confirm the stock needs to go to 12? But once it gets to 12, we're going to see a big bar. Does that confirm our story that we already have? See, this is the big part of trading and actually being able to maximize how a stock moves is understanding you have a game plan. The game plan tells you exactly what needs to happen. Who are we following? Right now, this we're talking about prints that are in the 1190s. Who are we actually following? Yeah, S prints at 11. Has the story changed once from the prints that we saw? No. So as the stock, it goes up and down and up and down. I don't care. I don't even need to pay attention to the chart because the story is already set in stone. Okay, unless something comes into time and sales that changes it. Has anything came into time and sales that changes it? Would 1173 be a good spot to get out if the stock needs to go to 12? Would 1173 be a good spot to get out if the stock needs to go to 12? What do we think? Why would you? If you have a lot of shares to get out, for sure. Okay, is this at print personality? Sure is. So if it's at print personality, can we expect that's the tip of the iceberg? At print personality tells us market maker. Okay, so if it's market maker, okay, tip of the iceberg. So even going back into the same thing, guess what? Scaling out, even if this was the last of your position, okay, if this is going to bar down from 12, okay, as we discussed, okay, isn't that what the 1150 prints told us? Is that once it gets to 12, it's going to be a quick move to the downside? Is it worth holding this for another 10 cents, 15 cents, and risk getting barred? Because when we say 12, we know, anywhere between 11.90 and 12 is it worth risking that? In my opinion, this is an excellent out, especially when you have that many shares. Okay, let's continue. Anything here change our game plan? Anything here important? Nope. Nothing says above 12. Nothing says anything. It's just noise. All these prints, absolute noise. All right. Now we come up here. Anything here change our game plan of the person we're following? Does the stock still need to go to 12? Sure does. All right. We come back up. Anything here important? So we have a few things. So 1184, okay, but print personality is 2 to 3. So we have a few things here. 1182 out. 1175 out. 1184 in. So what does this tell us? How are we going to read this? So 1184 pushed to 12, but pushed to get out. It could be that. But what's the money flow here? Are we seeing more getting out, or we see more coming in? Because this person's not going to be wrong. In the shorter term, it's telling us that eventually, after our move, does this person, first of all, let's start here. Does this person change the game plan? Is this enough for our game plan to be changed? Absolutely not. But it does tell us that eventually, does this person think the stock is going higher than 12? Absolutely. It's not enough to change anything of what we already know, but this person eventually, and in a shorter term time period, is going down, and you can see it's starting to go above 12. But this person thinks the stock in a shorter term time frame is going to go up. It's at print personality, okay? So we know it's a bigger person that's there. Okay, but the actual money flow itself in this, what we're looking at right now, is it buying or selling? It's selling. So even though, like I said, this person eventually thinks the stock's going over 12, does it change anything? It's important. We have to understand that there's new buying at close to highs of where the stock, where we know it needs to go. All right. But at the same time, it's not enough. It's not enough of anything to change where our expectations are. Now, what if these were green, this was green, this was green, this was green, and these were all green? Would that be enough to change it? To tell us higher than 12? Absolutely. That would tell us that we're pushing into what number? What a trade this thing is. Just clear as day. Okay. So 1225 or 1250? What does everyone think? What are the increments? 50. Okay. But, okay, 1184. What's 50 cents from 1184? Give or take, well, 1234, but yeah, 25-ish. So we know it really should be 1250, but what's our game plan? Where do we expect it to go? 1250 or 1225? How are we going to treat this as a trade if that were the case? 1225. Okay, it's trading in 50-cent increments. A market maker, doesn't matter where it is, the market maker only needs to make 50 cents. That's what our increments are telling us. Okay, so if these were all, around that area, 1225. Anyone here going to be upset when it runs to 1250 instead of 1225? Anyone in their trade going to be upset that you made an extra 25 cents? Absolutely not. But I will tell you what will upset you is that you're expecting it to go to 12.50, not ready at 12.25, and then getting barred down. Do you see how our game plan either stays exactly the same from who we're following or evolves? And you need something big to evolve that game plan. Now, the game plan itself is always going to fit together. Okay, and if it doesn't, you shouldn't be trading that stock because the game plan always seems to work out. The prints, the selling that comes in, the buying prints, but it's all from the person we're following. Okay, and once we follow and we have that game plan, we're basically looking for things that are going to change it. Okay, so what was our high here? Okay, 11. Okay, 11.96. Is that 12? Yeah, I mean, remember, this isn't exact science. So if it went to like 12.05 or 11, yes, now we're at 12. Now, what starts to happen? Where's the stock now? I don't even need to look at the chart. I know there was a bar there. Had to be a bar because you're going from right here, just let's call it 11.90. Okay, all of a sudden now we're in the 50s. Who told us that? Our 11.50 bid prints. All of a sudden we get close to 12 and the stock crumbles. All right, now I'm going to pull up the chart. Let's see what it looks like. Look, 12, boom, right back down. Okay, we're talking about all the way back down to what price? What price did it go down to? 11. Did we need a chart to understand this at all? Or was it literally in front of our faces telling us? I mean, I wish it would have just barred down, but guess what? You know what? I'm going to take it. But we literally we traded a whole stock and knew an entire market maker's game plan based off of just looking at numbers. No chart, no anything. Did it do exactly what we expected? And then it's funny, that guy at 11.83, look where it pushed to. Did it hit 11.50? No, pushed around to that 12.25 and then barred back down.